Welcome back to another episode of The Canon. I'm your host, Terry, and today we're doing a special top 5 scenes for Black Panther. It is opening weekend. It has been making a lot of money and it been getting a lot of success and praise. So if you haven't seen it, I would definitely say go watch it first before you listen to this because it will be kind of spoiler. And if you haven't seen my review, go to the description and click that link. All right, so my number 5 moment is when the sister and mother of T'Challa all go to M'Baku after they believe T'Challa was killed, and they bring him the special herb that will make him Black Panther in order to help overthrow Killmonger as the king. The reason I like this scene so much is because it falls in line with the rest of this movie and some of the decisions Coogler makes to show you things that are unconventional, and especially unconventional when we think about Black culture or the stereotypes of Black people. This is a man who challenged for the throne what might be days earlier and really wanted to rule Wakanda his way. He is presented with great power, and he resists that temptation, all because he understands what they lost and they love him, even if he doesn't say it. But really, he understands the duty and the respect and the reverence that you pay to the king. And so instead of just taking the power and doing what he has to do, he shows them, hey, look, we found your son. Give the power to him and let him be the rightful king. And so in that moment as an enemy, or even if you were just a regular person, to pass up that type of incredible power was really powerful to me, even if, you know, they didn't have M'Baku expressively act remorseful or like he cared. But that is some, I can't think of the word, but, not unrelenting, but, it's some respect, is what I'll say. It might not be something that he wanted to do, but he showed great respect. And I think that was a nice message, subtle message to put out there. Number 4, I have the opening scene in Oakland where we meet Sterling K. Brown and Forrest Whitaker Jr. And that scene was great for a lot of reasons. I would say number 1, it put me to ease because I was kind of going into that movie just really worried about the African versus the African American perspective and how it was going to be done, if it was going to be done, how much. And I think going straight to Oakland, even though it went into my fear, it kind of eased my fear at the same time, because it was like, okay, let's show you something you're familiar with, interacting with this new stuff that we're about to show you. And I think for some reason it just worked. It kind of made it accessible. I mean, for me, it eased my fear, but I think for casual fans, it might have just made it feel more accessible. It feels like, okay, this movie isn't some out of this world Star Wars movie. It's something here that I could relate to, even though they're showing me some other new stuff. I can relate to this. So it helped you get into the movie. But then outside of that, it really set the tone of what the movie's theme was going to be, which is the African people, or some of the African people from Wakanda, realizing that the African American people in America could benefit from what we have, and seeing their plight really changing their mind about opening up Wakanda. So, I think that was really important for that. And it was really cool to see, the lights go out and how the Black Panther pop up there in the projects or whatever. So, I don't know. I really like that opening scene. And of course, Sterling K. Brown was absolutely amazing. He made you feel it because he didn't feel like a bad guy. He made you feel like I really care for these people and I want to see some change. So that solidified the movie right away. And then we go to number 3. And that's the coronation of T'Challa when he arrives back to Wakanda and he goes through the ceremony to become king. And this is a powerful sequence because this is where you get to see almost everything. You get to see the colors of Wakanda and the different tribe. You get to see the scale and beauty of Wakanda in the background. but then you get to see the cultural significance from, the African cultural parts, because Wakanda's not real, but they definitely give you still the flavor, the costumes, the dancing, and the way they set up this ceremony, and how everybody's there watching, and how they present it. But then to the movies part, it gets real important because it shows you how traditional this mantle is, and that I love the things they did with it, where when you challenge for the throne, well, first off, you get one challenge before he becomes king, and then he has to take away his Black Panther powers and fight normally, which is great too. And every tribe that is harmoniously living together, they all get a chance to challenge for the throne. Now, a lot of people talking about they don't understand why M'Baku's people were cast away. I mean, the opening scene, it said pretty clearly they chose to go up to the mountains and kind of live isolated. And so really that's probably why they don't get a challenge. But T'Challa accepted the challenge anyway. So but that whole scene was cool. Of course, the fight was cool with him and M'Baku. The entrance of the tribe from M'Baku now was cool. And yeah, it was nice to see that you can do things fair. Like tradition, it can be fair and it can be wholesome, because, you got people in power, T'Challa, that's not backing down from people attack or challenging his throne. You got people that live and represent the country that all have a hand in being able to get power if they wanted to, and it's accessible. And then it's fair because they also take away his powers. It's not rigged. It's just kind of that tradition, whether it's African or a lot of other things, where things used to be really fair and equal and right as it should be. So that was strong too. Then number 2, right after the coronation, we get T'Challa going into the ancestral plains. Now, this just looked really cool. This was a scene that I was really excited about when they talked about we're going to see all the Black Panthers of the past. And so I was really excited for it to see how they did it. And I think it was really cool how it looked, because of course they buried him down in that pit. And as I said on review, so then you see him get buried down the pit one way, and as he's transformed over to the plains, he wakes up through the dirt in another way, and he's in all white. And that just, the way it was edited and shot looked really cool. And so he wakes up, and I love the symbolism when he's in all white. He has this African tree with all these panthers on it, and then his dad comes down, of course, and we had a cool moment with his dad. We know how close they were from Civil War and all that. But then I just like the symbolism, like he came with the all white, kind of that fresh, that new, king. And then he comes out after meeting with, people that only he could meet with. He comes out, wearing the black, and now he's the true Black Panther and the true king. And I just thought the symbolism was really cool, and the way the scene was shot was really cool. And then my number 1, which, is the straight juxtaposition to that last one, is Eric Killmonger's ancestral plane scene. And, this is the whole movie right here. I think if you put number 2 and number 1 together, this is the whole movie right here, where you got people from the same blood that go through different circumstances and end up having completely different lives. Because T'Challa, he takes the herb and all that and gets buried, and he comes up into this open African range with this tree and these great panthers and these great kings before him, and including his father. And then you get Eric Killmonger, who rightfully, one way or the other you want to say it, he rightfully beat T'Challa. He took the man to a king after all these years. He goes into the ancestral plane, and he goes to a project in Oakland. Like that just visually and narratively is just so striking. It shows you more than it can tell you what this movie is about. And he's walking into a door to his old apartment. And instead of seeing his dad, his body laid out on the floor, his dad is alive. And then he's looking through all those, things that he had to kind of keep him safe. And it was cool because like, he opened up the wall to get the books with all the Wakandan, knowledge and history that he learned, but you see is behind a bunch of automatic weapons and money and who knows what else. And so even though it's not like real life where it's a trap house and my dad's just dealing drugs or dealing guns just to do it, it just gives you that feel like, you know, this is just life. And for people some people that's just life. But, in this fantastical world, it's more than just that. He's got African knowledge. He's got knowledge of Wakanda. And then he gets to see his dad. And they talk about kind of being outcast. And it just, you know, it shows that vulnerable part of Killmonger. It shows why he's so angry. And I don't know, it was just an amazing scene for me. And I think, even though, I have my issues with Michael B. Jordan, I think he played that scene very well. And Sterling K. Brown absolutely killed it, of course. And so I just think if you take number 2 and number 1 together, you get what's the, essence of Black Panther. So, alright, so those are my top 5 moments. I love if you guys go to the comment section, give me your top 5 moments or scenes, sequences, whatever you want to call it. Thumbs up, subscribe, and if you heard it, here's official canon.